Now the technique that I'm going to show you is one that will help you to focus on the work that you're learning in class. It will improve your attentiveness in picking up information, and also serves as a real good example of what you actually have learnt and retained in class. It's an exciting learning tool that you can actually move you forward and get you more prepared for assessment and help to consolidate what you're learning. And all you need is basically just a stack of post-it notes. You can use any size post-it notes, even loose pieces of paper. If what you've got, use what you have, but I recommend the standard square set of post-it notes that you can pick up quite cheaply. And it is a very simple summary that you fix up at the end of every day to summarize the lesson that you have gone through at school, and to help you to just know what you've retained, what you understood, and as a record there that you can use for revision. So the outline of the post-it note is really very simple and basic. So here it is here, and it's got 4 sections. The date up the top, and you don't have to just write the date. You could put the term and week number or lesson number. It's just a reference for when the lesson occurred. The name of the lesson, which doesn't have to be too formal. You could write what you think it was about, and some lessons do have many topics, but you need to just summarize it. It's a way of remembering exactly that lesson. Underneath that are dot points of ideas that you picked up in class. Now, I suggest 4, but you could have 3 or 5, or if there was a lot involved in the lesson, then maybe you could have more, and you might require a larger post-it note page, but I think 4 points is probably enough, and they're very simple summary statements. They're not in a lot of detail, ideas that at a glance you can actually remember and then expand on those ideas. So these dot points are basically just note form ideas. And at the bottom, a remember statement. Now I'll go in through each of these separately now, so that you can have a bit of an idea, but I think the best thing is to just show you one that perhaps will give you an idea of if a student was doing a math lesson. So let's just have a look at this one that I've already prepared. And this one would be from a Year 8 math lesson. Now, please remember that this can be used at the primary school, middle school, senior school, university. It can lend itself to anything. So in this summary here, a person writes the date of the lesson, up the top their reference, and they have to know the name of the lesson. Now you can find that in the textbook. You could ask your teacher if you're really not sure about it, but it helps you to know what you are actually learning, rather than just sitting in the class going, oh, I'm not too sure what exactly this was about. And it doesn't have to be exactly what's in the textbook. It could just be, for instance, it could be a revision lesson, or you could put multiple operations, or whatever reminds you of what you were learning. Now here's a good way to work this out. Say you go home from school and one of your parents or whoever looks after you is there, and they said, oh, how was maths today? And you say, it was okay. And then they say, well, what did you learn today? Well, then this is the name of the lesson that you learned. So you can say, well, yeah, I did order of operations, and that helps you to really just summarize exactly what the lesson was about. Now underneath there, you see you've got the dot points of bits and pieces of what was in the lesson. Now this is not the total amount of things that were in the lesson. It's your summary of what you found and remember in the lesson. Now to do this, what I suggest is you don't go and check your book first or anything. Just write them down from memory. What were the 4 things, or 3 or 8 or whatever you need? What were the important points that you remembered from that lesson that you learned? So in this case it was the BIDMAS formula, and we should know what that means. So you just don't have to write it all out. You can just summarize it in that little very brief bunch of letters there. Another point that it was important that you picked up in the lesson: always do the brackets first, remember to work from left to right, and the I in the BIDMAS means index. Now, as I said, there could be more information there from the lesson, but they're the main ones. If you do want to write more, that's fine, you can do that. Writing this out without checking your notes tells you what you picked up. Now, you might find that you may not remember anything, so that's okay, but it's a good guide to see what you actually picked up in class, and it might be a reminder to try and be a bit more attentive, so for the next class you will be able to fill this out quite easily. So again, take the scenario, mum or dad says, okay, what did you learn in that lesson? Oh, and then you can just list it off very, very quickly. And that's as hard as it gets. Now on the bottom is the remember statement. So the remember statement is not about the lesson. The remember statement is for you. It's a reflection. What's something that you need to tell yourself that you need to know for this class? So in this case, the example is, remember to mark your work with a red pen. Now, quite basic, but that's something that you perhaps just forgot about in class, and you really do need to do that to make your work better and to achieve better. So that's something for you. Now, it could be more prepared for my lesson next time. It could be, don't sit next to this person because they're a bit of a distraction and I need to concentrate. It could be a revision test is in 10 days. So whatever it is, this is a personalized reflection statement. And again, make it very, very brief. You don't need to go in a lot of details. It's something to remind you. And that's all it is. So after every lesson, this should take you around about 1 minute to do, perhaps 2 at the beginning, and you'll get used to doing that. Now, the beauty of this is it's a very quick summary. Now, what do you do with this? Well, some students can place them in their book, and because it's a post-it note, it's adhesive, it can stick into the book, and every time they open their book, they will see this as a quick visual reminder. It would not take you more than a couple of seconds just to soak in all this information. So every time you review and see this very brief summary, it gives you a cue in your thinking to remember these things. And that's part of how to succeed in study. You've got to just continually review and be aware and have these things in the front of your mind so that you're focused on how your learning goes. Now, some lessons may not be a single topic. It could be a multiple topic, or maybe a lesson could be over a few days, a few lessons, or it could actually be for instance, a lab session where you don't really do a lot, but I'm sure you could write a couple of points for any lesson you're going to, even a study lesson. So once you've done that, place it in your book. I recommend that you actually put this in front of you on the notice board at home, especially if it's for an area that you want to improve upon. And that's as far as it goes. It's a very brief summary, but it's continually, the whole idea is it continually helps you to know what you've learned. Now let's take the scenario you just don't know anything. Well, then use that as a way to then find out and fill this in. So then go to your textbook or your notes and then fill in the rest, the missing gaps. And that helps you to be remembering what you've done. Perhaps you just could not remember anything. Take the post-it note to class, go to see your teacher, maybe someone in the class, and then fill it out then. What you need is a summary for every lesson. And that's as simple as it gets. So I've just got another one here that for another lesson, again a math lesson, Pythagoras' theorem. Again, remember it's very, very brief. You only need to use these as reminders. A heading, the date, and then another remember statement on the bottom. Okay, and that's it. The Morley method for making summaries. Try it, see if it works, modify it for you, and I'm sure that as you apply yourself and do this, and it doesn't have to be for math, it could be for any subject, but as you apply it, it's one step closer to achieving better results for you, and good luck with your journey.